Hey, welcome to Tony Talks Trash about music today. Tony and Dino in the house, and we are finishing up our little endeavor with Sparks. Regardless of how cult the cult is, we are still going to maintain forward here. And we would encourage people who maybe might catch a whiff of this that didn't check out the second one of the Sparks, but we've had quite a few more eyeballs on part one than we had part two, and Dino and I were talking about this before we got started, and it's certainly kind of weird, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and maybe, it's split in two that maybe they'll get to it, because on part one, I think we actually said, hey, we're doing part two. That'll be the top 10 and, stick around for that one. Cause there's been a lot of artists that you've had to split. I
Yep.
mean, because of when you're talking that many albums, it's hard to, it's hard to condense it into one show. I mean, it could be it ended up being a 2.5 hour show if you did that. So,
And
yeah.
hence were the challenges in these because they were so restrictive. I know that when I talked to you at the beginning, I wasn't sure if we were going to do a top 50 or because we could clearly in Sparks to have a top 50 because they've
Oh,
got great songs.
yeah, yeah. It's overwhelming when you get into the catalog. You know.
Well, I'm going to try to go first today. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and jump first since Dino's probably got a little bit of advantage on me in fandom here with Spark. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start off with my number 20. And my number 20 is calls from both Dino's and mine unanimous number one Sparks record, Indiscreet. And the little talk about, well, Johnny, dun, 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 19, it ain't 1918, number 20. The story
Wow,
of Johnny living in a time bubble in modern society here.
love it.
What a song. What a concept for a song. Whoever thought about that really thought far outside the box to come up with the whole deal with that one, man.
It's just it's yeah, it's one of my introductions to Sparks, and it is on my list. I will say that, but it figures a lot more prominently on my list than
Okay, man.
yours. But
Fine,
it's a
brother.
great. I can't argue with that anywhere in the top 20, man. It's I the first time I heard it as a teenager, I was like, what in the this is a rock band. Okay, this apparently is some sort of rock band. It was one of the first albums I got by them, and I said, I don't know what this is, but I'm down with it.
Uh,
I'm totally down with it because I found the lyrics and I was like, this is amazing. Yeah.
songs like I hate to say that, but songs like these, Freddie Mercury wish he could do.
Oh, and
This is
he would have
Mercury's
wrapped
red.
himself around this song too. I would love to hear him. There's a lot of Spark songs, and I've thought about that over the years that I would have loved to have heard Freddie tackle. I mean,
Yeah,
and they didn't do a lot of covers in
no,
Queen's days, but and I think if he would have gone solo, he certainly would have if he would have lived. But this catalog would have been there's so many that would have been perfect for him.
oh yeah,
I'd love to
great.
hear his take on them, because he can hit those highs that Russell hits, and that would have been fantastic. So I'm going to jump to my 20. There's so many, man, and I've seen this live, and it was good. When do I get to sing my way? Is
Oh,
what?
great,
Yeah. So I came
nice.
that came in at 20 for me.
Well,
It's
that's like you say, that was a monumental comeback. That was really the first big worldwide smash, I guess, after the comeback from the layoff after interior design that period.
Yeah, and it was huge in Europe. It was I think
Oh,
it was a big hit in Europe,
really big
and
hit. Yeah.
yeah, so that's number 20 on mine.
Well, I'm going to go to balls for number 19 for mine. I said it a little bit when we did it, but it's the song it makes me chuckle. It's a knockoff
I love ball.
uh, from Balls at number 19. I know there's a lot of great songs, but
I love balls.
rings. I think I like the melodies. Something about the conciseness of that, the dreariness of that, the iciness of the sound of that whole album with Balls with the steel cover, and you've kind of got these ice synth sounds and all these songs, like even when they're talking about the mass transportation and stuff. It's the calm before the storm. All those just
Yeah.
have a little bit of an icy airiness to them that I love it. But it's a knockoff, and how to get your ass kicked, man. What's a great anyway?
Yeah.
That's number 19 for me. It's a knockoff from the underrated Balls.
Wow. Yeah, balls is great. My number 19 is She's Just a Wonder Girl. It's a
Great,
Wonder Girl is my number 19. Yeah. That's
going
that's
all the way.
always that's always been a favorite on my compilations. I throw that on there, quite often.
It's
Uh,
did you see that dance show? There's like some live video where they're playing over in somewhere, and their kids are actually dancing the song. It's a single.
yeah, because that was the single at the time. Wonder Girl was. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
it's like
told you I found them on Solid Gold with Marilyn McCoo. That they did, and that was a great appearance too. They would just do that. Well, remember, there's another thing about them. They're an L.A. band. People
yeah,
still confused, think they're from London, but they're an L.A. band. So when you're in L.A., especially if somebody needs something, or the record company's promoting something, they'll like, hey, let's call Sparks up. They'll come over to the studio and they just have an album out. It's very easy, to get them into anything that was going on in Los Angeles. So
that's
that's how I
right.
think they ended up on Solid Gold. So,
Wow.
uh,
So that was your 19, huh?
19 is Wonder Girl. Yeah.
Okay, well, my number 18 is going to go, and I don't know about this. There's something that tells me that this is on two records. Is the song "Modesty Plays"? Modesty Play. Isn't that on two different
I
records?
believe it is.
There's
Yeah.
two versions. I love the song. That's one of my favorite. I mean, Joe likes it a lot too. That's why it popped up there. That was the single. But he really likes it too. Something about it. There's a couple different versions of it. I think maybe if it's even on that interior design, but it's just a great but it's just a great the dance version that's on the end of the CD, and I think it's a bonus track. I really like that. But anyway, that's my number 18, basically for the melody of it. So I love it a
Oh,
lot.
absolutely. Yeah. That's your 18. My 18 is Get in the Swing, Boys. Get in
Oh,
the swing.
ah,
So,
that's all.
yeah, Get in the Swing is
Well,
my number 18. It's been on there. I mean, my list skews older. I will say that a lot of times, but I throw some things in. It's just so hard for me. It's things that I've listened to over the last 30 years, probably the most. So, you know.
when you think about the structure of a song like "Getting the Sweet," it's almost like a classical piece, like a suite or something. It's not like a.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many different parts and sections to it, interlocking and different things. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but that was my 18. Get in the swing.
I don't feel like filling out questionnaires. That's my. I love that. I love that's great, man. All right, for 17, I'm going to go to a song that just really to me, and I think without this song, Little Beethoven would be
Yeah.
your call is very important to us. That's my number
Yeah.
17. It
That's
comes at the perfect place. It's the
yeah,
perfect relief of the
it
tension,
is.
the seriousness of the record, and it really points out in dogged rub society's dog nose in the dog shit as to how
Yeah.
lame society is to even put up with this bullshit to start with that we do every single day, and the complete insincerity and plasticity of it, and it's done without even having to comment on it, man. I think it's great. It's one great social statement on 17. Your call is very important to us.
Yeah, well, I kind of my 17 kind of skews into yours. It's Ron's take on a lifestyle that he's observed quite often in LA, and it's called Suburban Homeboy.
Oh my
Uh,
God, yes. Girl.
so yeah, and I've seen that live, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's just that perfect take on that mall life and that
Right.
suburbs and this
That's
the
right.
culture of I have to have everything. I've got to have this accessory, I have to have this accessory. And he's seen that up close for decades living in LA. So
It's
um
incredible.
yeah, it's
Funny how
suburban homeless.
it's almost like it, Valley Girl was silly, but it's almost making the same statement with it
Yes, but
in
making it a male, but the same, yeah,
yeah,
same thing. Suburban
right,
homeboy. I'm a suburban
right.
homeboy. Yeah,
Pretty
it's
cool.
like, yeah. So that's 17.
All right, man. I'm going to go to Sparks and Franz Ferdinand record with the
Oh, yeah,
my favorite song on it, just the sound of it. Police Encounters, number 16. That's the one. That's the one. That's the best one. I don't know what you feel about that. What
yeah.
your feeling is? What do you like from that
Well,
project?
I like that song basically from that album.
Yeah.
Now I'll be I'm so I was so pissed that I didn't go to that tour that I kind of don't listen to the album because it would make me sad.
Uh,
Realizing that and I could have been down there in 20 minutes and saw saw the show and totally blew it off. And oh man.
oh
Uh,
boy.
yeah, but that's a great song off that album,
Yeah.
it's a one off, but I'd love to see those guys get back together again because they really. And I've talked to some people that went to that show, and I've watched some video, and it's that would have been a fantastic collaboration to see live. I mean, the
Yeah.
album was really good, because
Agree.
they had a relationship. They were huge Sparks fans, and Sparks were big fans of Franz Ferdinand. So.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that album.
Okay, man. You're number 16.
16. That was your 16, right?
Sure.
So my 16 is The Rhythm Thief.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. So
Uh,
that's yeah, and I've checked that's a great tune, man. It I kind of I kind of skew towards a lot of the electronica that they've done and what Ron's done. I mean, that two hands, one mouth tour that I saw twice. I mean, one keyboard on the stage, that the Roland, of course, it says Ronald on the front instead of Roland. Everything that he did, yeah, that's all it was a black stage, the Ronald keyboard, a keyboard stand, and a mic for
uh,
Russell on a black box. Nothing at all allowed on the stage except that. And they sat down, and he had everything programmed. So he was doing. He had the organ. He had a piano. He had the synth. He had the rhythm machine. He had everything on that Roland
right there. Wow.
right there on one keyboard, and he did the entire catalog. Anything that he needed was on there, and he did rhythm. It was amazing. So that was great. It's a great track. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, man. How about my number 15? We talked about this record, the modern record, being one of our favorite ones, the modern record from a steady drip, drip, drip.
Right.
Self effacing at number 15. That's my 15th
Yeah.
favorite Sparks track. I know it's a new song. I still think a
Yeah.
lot of the new stuff
Oh,
is
absolutely.
just as good as the other. Yeah,
Right.
in 10 years, we'll be able to tell really how it sits aside. But for right now, I have it at number 15, man.
Right. Absolutely. Great song. I would agree with that. I might even if I would have put it a little higher, maybe, but right around that area. So yeah. So that's your 16, right?
15.
15. Okay. My 15 is the actual song Balls from that
Oh,
album.
yeah.
Yeah, ball, but yeah,
That's a great song,
yeah.
man.
I was waffling between two, but I eventually ended up going with the balls at 15
That's
from that
great.
album, the title track. It's great, and it's a great live track. And I think you saw it. We
We
saw
did.
it, that tour. It was fantastic, man.
It
Yeah.
was, it was, boy, the bottom end of it. I couldn't believe
Oh,
that
yeah. Oh, yeah.
the lows they got on that. That's incredible.
It was great. Yeah. So that's
Well,
my 15.
yeah, well, here, my number, I'm going to go to 14 now. My number 14 is going to go to that little pocket we talked about with Womp That Sucker and
Yeah.
the other one during the, what was the other one at the time? I can't, it's too fast.
Uh,
Two of them
Angst in my pants. Yeah.
and the one that we talked
Pulling
about the other
rabbits
day.
out of a hat. Yeah.
No, not that. It was before those two. I'm talking about Angst
Oh,
and Womp That Sucker. I don't know which one this is off of, but they're very close. But the song
So,
I'm talking about, number 14, is That's Not Nastasia.
oh
Number,
yeah, I
I
was
love
going to.
that song, man. That's
That's a great tune, and that could absolutely be in my top 15. There's no doubt about it.
I love
That it definitely could.
I listen those albums front to back, both those. I love them so much. They're
Oh
great.
yeah, yeah. That's a great. Oh man, that's a great track. So that's your 14.
Yes.
Okay, my 14 is talent is an asset.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's where, I mean, it could in any other day it could be number 5. Who the hell knows? I don't know. It could be.
That surprises me with that because I didn't think that record, you like that record that much. The album.
I like that tune. I really do.
I think we both got that going. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
I like. See, that's what I said. There's albums that you could bypass sometime. Well, not me bypass, but you don't listen to as much because
yeah,
maybe you're not. But there'll be 2, maybe 3 gems in an album that was critically and commercially, dismissed. But you can go back to it and you find a couple tracks and you go, holy shit, this is
yeah.
fantastic. And like I say, I've got that book of Ron's lyrics, so I can always look something up. I like to go back sometimes and look up just the lyrics, and it really helps with because sometimes Russell's vocals are so high that you'll miss a couple of words in a sentence, you know. And I go back and then I read it and I go, "Oh my God, man! I didn't know that was what he was talking about." It'll totally skew the song.
It does. It does. Sometimes you mishear things. That's right. My number 13, I'm going to go to the album that we both agreed that changed it all for everybody, changed the modern dance music, and that's the title track for the number one song in heaven. Fabulous
Wow.
show a fabulous show stopping live encore, pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
every version that you have. It's just a heart pumper and a defiant
Right.
I will survive statement in a completely remade fashion that the whole rest of the world was just saying, really, that's what that should sound like. I mean,
Yeah.
it is when you think about it and the timing of it. When you think about it, it's 1979. It's just beyond belief, really is. But
Yeah.
that's my number 13, man.
That's
Number one,
great. That's
and all its
yeah.
remakes, etc., etc.
So that's a great choice. Now it might appear on my list, but it may appear higher. So,
I'm thinking it might
uh, yeah. So that was your 14, and my
13.
14.
That was
Yeah.
my 13.
Well, that's
That
right. You're going first. Okay, so
yeah,
that's your
first.
13. So
Yep.
so my 13, I'm bringing it up to the modern era on mine, and it's a track that. It's the beginning. When you go see the band, it's called "So May We Start,"
Oh
and
wow.
it's from the soundtrack.
Of
Yep,
a yeah.
of
That's a
Annette. Yeah, so that's yeah,
wow.
yeah.
It's
So
it's it's very dramatic, man. I can't believe it. It's really something else. I think it's
oh, and
great.
when they come out to that, it's like
Uh,
God, it's
he's going
phenomenal.
dun, 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 dun. It's just
It's phenomenal.
great.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beginning of the whole evening right there. And so they raise the bar very high at the beginning of the
Oh,
show, and
I
then
do.
they keep it there. You know, so
Well, I'm going to go to our unanimous number one. Dip in it one more time for the escapades of Harry and Tits at number
yeah,
the
that's yeah,
centerpiece of side two
it's
of drink and ode
love
to
love
alcohol
tits.
and all the problems that you may fall into along the way.
Yeah, uh, that's a great wow. Yeah, that probably belongs in the top 10 too for me. Really. Um, yeah. Uh, so
That's our number 12.
yeah,
I just
that is.
whole sophistication, all those tracks on that, getting the swing, all those man, they're fabulous. Yeah, it's what a great record.
Yeah, I mean,
Tony
it
Visconti,
it it definitely does. It's let's say here. So I'm looking at which
12.
12. Okay. So in my 12, just this track, basically, probably just for this one, this tune. Music that you can dance to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and I like that track. Like I told you, I skew towards you know, a lot of that dance period. I like that,
that's
So,
good. That's
yeah,
good.
music that you can dance to at 12.
And that what a great live version of that this time, man. That was and the crowd.
Oh, and that got everybody.
It did.
The whole place was up.
I
You
was
know.
stunned. I was surprised it was that popular. I really
Well,
was.
they it yeah, but they live. It's and remember that was that recording was pretty much electronica, but live you saw it with a full band. Remember? You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? And yeah, you got the full guitar, bass, drums, everything going. That's why it's a whole new version when you see that live. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's a little light on the recording, the recorded
yeah.
version,
It
but when
is.
you see that live,
It's full
it's
grand. Yeah, the
full
full.
industrial strength. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
oh yeah.
All right, man. I'm trudging onwards to propaganda for number 11, the Aaron and the Tale of Aaron and Betty in BC. BC. I
Ah,
tried to play.
BC. Wow. Yeah, you're
I,
doing you're deep diving on that.
yeah, but that went over everybody's head. I played it at the Indy, and it was so hard to learn. And I took
Now, see, I
so
didn't
many.
see that usually.
Nobody cared. It's on the tape somewhere.
I'd like
But
to hear. Yeah, God, I'd
hey, but
like
it's
to hear that.
hard to play. That's hard. It's a hard one.
So
But
that's
anyway,
your 11 is
number
BC.
11. So that's we'll be ready for the top 10 next.
My 11, uh, Happy Hunting Ground.
Oh God, I love it.
Happy Hunting
Should I put
Ground.
and
Yeah, yeah, that's that was a standout track for me from that album when I used to listen to it. You go back and you listen to certain tracks on
yeah,
vinyl. That always I used to drop it on Happy Hunting Ground a lot. It was good. It was rocky. It was fun.
great energy.
Oh yeah, Happy Hunting Ground was fantastic. So that was my 11.
That's your 11. Well, we're going to stay in the same place, and I'm going to revisit a place that you visited earlier, and that is Russell parading around in his Captain and Tennille hat, and clear up to his testicles here, and I'm talking about number 10 and that extravaganza. I don't feel like filling out questionnaire. Get in the swing, number 10. Number
Get
10.
in the swing. So mine was 18. Yours is 10 for getting the swing.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured you'd have to have that on there somewhere.
God, yeah. I love it. That's
Now,
great.
now
Great.
my 10 is, and I think I've talked to you about this one before. I've really and it's when Ron writes songs for Russell to sing about himself. You know what I mean?
You
Like
about this.
he takes the lyrics and he goes, okay, I want to put the lyrics on this face and this guy. He's going to be singing it, but it's basically me. I'm using it like he said before. He's like my Charlie McCarthy. You know what I mean? And
Hence
that
the album cover.
song.
Why the album covers with the mixture and the puppets and the stuff. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Like pulling rabbits out of a hat. That album.
Yeah.
That song at number 10, one of my top tens is "I Wish I Looked a Little Better."
I knew you like that. That's great.
Yeah, and I think that's the song they did on Solid Gold with Marilyn. I think that's the song that they did. Was I wish they did two songs. They were both lip synced, of course, because that's what it was. But I think that was one of them. I wish I looked a little better. And it's
I don't.
great to hear Russell singing those songs. About, I look, about the Elephant Man, and
Yeah,
and all of it, and he's standing there, and you're looking at him. He's in this beautiful suit, and his hair's up, and Ron has him singing about how unattractive he is, which is which is fantastic. That's what I've always loved. You know.
that's great, man. That's number 10. Now for number 9, man. I hate to do this because you brought up the subject first. I give you the credit for bringing up the subject first. You
But
brought it up on the album one, and I'm going off the grid for this one. For the fabulous B-side during the period of time of Kimono My House. Number 9, Barbecue Tea. One of
Barbecue, yeah, that's a good track. I liked it. I liked it when I first got it as a B side, and it's great.
me.
Yeah, I told you. So you went back and listened to that one again?
I
Yeah,
did. I did. I
yeah,
did.
yeah. It's a great.
I always liked it. I always liked it too.
It's
Yeah,
a
I saw.
great track. I love it. I
I
love
did.
it.
Too. I think it's a
And it's a
great.
great, yeah, and it's good because some of the streaming services I use now, they have all the B sides and all the unreleased. Man,
Oh
I'm
wow.
finding stuff that I haven't heard in 20 years.
Oh
Just
my.
all bands, everything, you know. They put all the deluxe versions and all the B sides and everything, and you're like, oh my God,
You
you
know,
know.
I think I mentioned it to you, but a lot of people don't like it. But that version of the Beatles of I want to hold your hand, where Ron did the substitution of the chords and everything, made it a
Yeah,
complete. So,
that's
but
what that was one of the B sides, right? Yeah,
yeah, that's super great too. I love
it
it.
is. It is.
Yeah. Well, that's my 9.
Okay, that's your nine. My nine is not brand new, but it's and I've seen it, and it's great live, and it's a great song, and I love the wordplay. It's a song called Metaphor.
Oh my God, yes, I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. So
That
I
convinced
had
me.
to put Metaphor had to be in my top 10
Oh
somewhere.
my God, I love it. I forgot about that. Well, I both talked to you about that. Came in my mind when I saw the record and bought the record the other day, and when I was in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Metaphor at 9.
Wow, that's great. My number 8, I'm going back to FFS. I'm going to go back to the
Wow.
to this a sing along that got everybody going. Tell everybody to piss off tonight. No,
So you've mined that for 2 now so
heck,
far.
I love
Wow.
the record. I played it a lot when it came out. I liked it a lot.
Wow.
In fact, I
And
wasn't really a big Franz Ferdinand fan, but you know, you pour those ingredients of sparks into it, and it makes it irons out all the problems that I had with them. You know, I mean, it's
well,
great.
I knew a guy from London. It was pretty funny, and he said when that came out, he goes, "Wow, they got to do an album, and they didn't have to spend the money to hire a backing band. They already had one." Because they usually have to get their own band. They put a band together. Like fuck it, they got their own band. They didn't have to hire anyone for this
That's all.
album and the tour. They didn't have to hire anyone. You
Yeah,
know,
that was
so it's
that
true. You know.
number 8. Tell everyone to piss off tonight. Number 8.
Nice. God, yeah, you minded for 2 of those. So my number 8, uh, actually, I mean, it's in the top 10, and maybe it's just because I've heard it a lot, and like hundreds and hundreds of times, and seen it live. Every show I've seen is "This Town Ain't Big Enough."
Of course,
Is,
huge.
is that my? That's my number 8.
Number 8, that should be on everybody's list. It's not, for some reason, I always like to leave the obvious things. I do have a couple of those still. They
Yeah.
come,
So
unfortunately.
that's my number 8. This town ain't big
All right, man. Well, we're going back. We're going back to balls for number 7
enough.
with the dreamy escapade of getting in almost a road rage accident, getting involved in a different things, and that's the infamous. And I'd love to hear it live. How to get your ass kicked. It's a manual
Oh yeah,
of Ron talking about how to survive life without losing your cool. Like
yeah,
everybody blaming your middle aged patients to where you get yourself in trouble or
yeah.
get in a fight. I remember how to
Nice.
get your ass kicked. That the funny thing of it, it
Yeah.
reminds me of one time in Crescent Town, I was following my father, and my father was like was going real slow, and I was behind. There was another car behind him, and he was losing it. And like the guy jumped out of the car and jumped in my dad's face, and didn't know I was all the way behind him. I won't tell you who it was. It was somebody from Kaiser. You might know who it was.
Right.
Ended up being a pretty uncomfortable situation, but my dad didn't handle it well. So so
So
he probably flunked the advice in number 7.
that's your number 7 then.
My 7, brother, from Balls. How to get your ass
Wow.
kicked.
Wow. From Balls. Balls is getting some love on this top
It is.
20, man. I'll tell you that. My number 7 from that period in the 80s that I loved also. Tips for Teens.
Oh, fantastic shit. Yeah.
You saw that live. You know that opening line is one of my favorite opening lines from any Spark song. Any song in I've got a snapshot of your Aunt Maureen. She's 90 and you're a teen. And when I first heard it, I was like, who in the hell has a snapshot of a 90-year-old woman? You know, what is that? What is he talking about? But it's just another Ron lyric, and it's, it's a great lyric too, because it nobody knows what the hell where he's going with that. But tips for teens, man, that is one of
That's
my
your
favorites.
number seven. My number six. We're going to go back to the fluff ball bunny rabbits, and all I do now is dick around,
Dick
Victor.
around.
That's my number.
Yeah, dick around. I can't believe I left it off my list. I'll be honest with you, because it's great. I've seen it live, and it's so good, and I love
Oh,
that album. Hello,
well,
Young Lovers.
that song sounds like it was handmade, hand-picked for that two hands tour. I mean, I couldn't imagine a
It
better.
was. It was great, and that man, Dick Around is that's from Hello, Young Lovers, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So that was a great album. I loved that album when it came out. But Dick Around was my favorite track on it also. So that's your number
six.
six. So my number six is It Ain't 1918.
Oh,
Is
wow.
my number six. So
Okay.
yeah, and I mean, I had no choice.
It hit you early, man. It hit you when you were
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I heard it. I had no idea what the hell was doing on that album, but I gravitated towards it, and it was just so unusual, man. And it was a song about World War I, is what I thought. It's
Yeah.
like it seemed like it was that. It was Johnny was a soldier in the army, and it,
Comes back to St. Louis and lives in it.
yeah, it just seemed like 19, well, it says it ain't 1918, so it seemed like that early turn of the century, 1900, 1920,
Yeah.
and it was just like they went back and he mined that period of music, which was really amazing, you know.
And those fiddles. Oh, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. I love
Oh,
it, man. All right, man. That was your number six. I am going to go to the top five now. This is the really top stuff, I guess, the personal stuff. I'm going to go to the poor person who was a model song in honor of the model who realized that there was
right.
no sin in her life and that they only loved her for her face and did not love her for anything. That magical great with the great video and the monster in the tree and Ron sneaking off and scaring the kids. Number five, funny face, funny
Oh,
face.
funny face. Yeah, man. Another good one that didn't make my list, that I left off. I just had so much, man. I had so much, but Funny Face that's a classic track. That is
Yeah, played
that's
it.
a
Actually played at Bart's record store day one year. I actually played that
Did
song
you
for that. Yeah, I think that's a be a good place to whip it out there. We had a bunch of people in there. Okay, let's play some Sparks. They looked at me like, "What a cool."
who are you talking about? Yeah.
People that were in there for record store day. A few or five people from Kaiser. I don't know anybody. Jay was one of them, I think, but a few other
They
people.
should have known. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
So
weird.
that was your five, is Funny Face. My
Yes.
five, back into that period that I've loved, that whole stretch of albums. It's Angst in My Pants at number
Oh my
five.
God. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That live too, didn't we?
Yes. It's I've seen it, yeah, a few times. It's a great album. I love the album. I love that. That's the one with Ron and Russell in wedding garb, and Ron's in the wedding dress. The cover of Angst.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So
Well,
yeah. Angst in My Pants at five.
at number five, man, what a great song, and it's kind of really the greatest mixture of the rock, and you got the guitar in.
Yeah, and that band, that was a good little band they had together in the mid
It was.
'80s.
It was. I'm going to go on now to back to the '70s, back to the period, to the initial imprint on the London scene, and the song that probably shot more adrenaline up my ass than anything from that period of time. I'm talking about Hossa Manana,
Manana.
Monsieur. The song four, number
Yeah.
four of the
Uh,
red shot from it, and the hilarious lyrics
oh yeah.
in between the pickup lines and the pieces just to try to meld technical expertise
Yeah.
and pick up at the same time is just side splitting. I think the lyrics are as good as anything they ever did. That's my number four from
Uh,
Kimono
yeah.
My House.
Kimono My House. Yep.
Yeah.
That's your number four. My number four is somewhere you already have, but I told you it would be a lot higher, and that is number one song in heaven
Wow. I figured
from that album. Yeah,
uh,
it's a groundbreaking synth pop
it is.
electronica. It set the stage for, oh my God, you could probably sit down with 30 synth pop or electronic bands and say, what was your number one inspiration in the late 70s? And they would tell you it was that album with Giorgio Moroder, of
No
course.
question. No
Yeah,
question.
no doubt
Oh,
about it. Number one song in heaven at four.
now I'm going to do. Now this is my one of the top ones. Probably the ones that it's going to probably people are going to go what because it comes from a record that again is not one that is all loved by everybody and really saw kind of a different face of Sparks. Even if you look
Right.
great Capitol Theater tour, and I'm talking about Big Boy, Big
Come
Boy.
on. Oh, yeah.
Name
Yeah.
is David. He don't care. Oh my God! It's about basically it's about Led Zeppelin coming to town and just
Yes.
taking over,
Yes.
messing up
Yeah.
every scene until they leave, and then the trees come back, and it's basically a guy who comes and takes all the girls, all the groupies, takes all the attention, takes
Yeah.
everything.
Away
Man,
from them.
I love it, man. I love it. I like
That's a great. uh,
the sports thing of it. There is something about to be said that I don't think we really highlighted enough. Is there's really something almost kind of effed up about the production of that record, though. It's kind of really flat.
Yeah, see, that's what's turned me off about it. That's the only thing, but it just seems off. It's always seemed off to me a little bit,
It
studio
is.
wise, not lyric wise, not music wise, but studio wise.
Yep.
Um,
It's different for sure. You're
so
number
that
three.
was your number three, Big Boy, number three.
That's my number three.
My
From
number three, coming back this way,
Big
and
Boy.
it's a controversial song. Uh, but it's become not just mine because I've seen it, but a lot of people's. It's become one of their favorite songs, and I think it's because they've seen it in the live environment. I mean, even on the record, but to see it live
I know. I
and
already know what you're gonna say. I already
and
know.
take one lyric and repeat it
That's
over
it.
and over
That's
again, and you got to
I
see it,
knew it.
and I told you it's going to be one of the highlights of the show when you see this.
I'm
and
writing it down
that's
right now.
and that's My Baby's Taking Me Home.
Oh,
That's
my
it.
baby taking me home. It
And
was
and the levels that Russell achieves on that song. I mean, he takes that song and takes it
uh,
here, there, everywhere, and one lyric repeated
no,
over and over, but turns it into a complete arrangement, a complete song. You would never think one lyric repeated over and over would
it's
be as
almost
powerful as it is.
it's almost like Lou does with the bass and Street Hassle and builds a symphony off of it. They do
Yeah,
the same with the lyric thing and then run it off of that and build it
and
that way.
just build it and
Really,
take it to the different stratosphere,
yeah, I
And
agree.
it's an amazing song for one lyric. I mean, for one line. It's but that's
And we're
number
still
three.
we're still only the three now.
Yeah,
All right, man. Number two, this is going to be a personal thing. This is going to be personal, and I think Russell said it on live that this is get ready for the fastest song you've ever heard. I'm talking about the song that kind of laid out in my mind. It always laid out, and because again, like you say, we had to play catch up, but this is one of the
yeah.
first that I got. Indiscreet was one of the first records that I ever got, and the freaking song and the lyrics and the way it was delivered of "In the Future" blew my mind. And I'm thinking of
Wow.
this is the way
Yes.
they think. This is the way they think. This is the way it's going to be. And in my twisted mind, it stayed on that same path. And I know they had many things before that, but there's something about the attitude of it. You like it, you love it. I just there's some way it comes
Yeah.
together, and at the end,
Great song.
in the future. Oh my God!
And that's your number two.
I love
Wow.
it. It just is shot of
It
speed.
is. It
I
is.
love
And
it.
it would have on another day it would probably be in my top 10, you know. Uh wow. Future number two. Wow. My number two is and it's two pieces, but I've always grouped it together as one song
That's
because
fair.
it's
Oh,
seamless. Yeah,
I know.
and of course it's the title track to Propaganda slash At Home, At Work, At Play. And
Yep.
that guitar just is amazing. Yeah, or you go from that complete a cappella version of Propaganda and then right into At Home, At Work, At Play. So that's my number two. That's
And the way it kind of jerks, dun dun,
uh,
but dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
the way
Yeah.
I love the way I love the way just the momentum of the rhythm just wraps it up like that. It's so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm
That
gonna go. I guess put on my Captain Obvious hats for number one because I remember when they were on the show with the guy from the Sex Pistols, Steve Jones radio show. They asked him.
yeah.
He said, "Well, you don't mind people coming up asking you to play da 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 da." And yes, I would be one of the ones I would feel like the not complete if I did not get to hear Amateur Hour. I'm sorry. It's my
Oh yeah.
song. I know it's a pop song. I know it's lame, but
I
there's
love it.
something about it. Again, it's got a lot of energy to it. You know what's really funny is I like it live, but the funny version of it is if you've ever seen that video where the girls are jumping on stage, he can't even like finish the song. They
Yeah.
start like Bay
They're
City Roll.
carrying him off the stage. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
It's
it's amazing. You know, and
but
that I think that was in the UK. That's in the
yeah,
UK because that's where they were more popular than anywhere
yeah.
was the UK.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
that
my
is
crowning. That's my number one at the top of the heap tonight, today on Thanksgiving weekend on 2024. Number
right.
one hour from Kimono My House. Number one for me.
That is. And that was at the height of everything. That's when the album was pressed and it just kept being pressed and they were selling out everywhere. You know, the album was selling out all over the UK. You know, they couldn't print enough. Uh, my number one, back to the same period, totally, totally away. It was just, it's a song that hit me early, and I'd listened to it over and over again, and I scouted the lyrics for it, and I was like, this is the most subversive song that no one even realizes what's going on, what Ron's talking about. It's kind of the song that made me fall in love with Ron as a songwriter, and
Oh,
that is my number one song, "Under the Table with Her."
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it and I was like, he's with a young girl that's the the young daughter of a millionaire, and he's run away like he's squired away with her, but he's an adult. And I'm like, I just like the whole thing was just like I was blown away by Under the Table with Her, you know. And then and Russell singing in this falsetto, you know. So I was just blown away. But yeah, that's my number one, Under the
And I
Table.
think I think the whole manners of the whole thing with tits and that and the song, the
Yeah,
whole it ain't 1918, the whole jarring like irreverence of some of the characters in the songs is just kind of like to everybody's
yeah.
life is like, what.
Well, that Under the Table with Her also had that string section.
Yeah,
It was like it reminded you of what that might be like in their house, like chamber music
right.
going on in this millionaire's mansion back in those days. You know,
And
and
that's
it was
a hard song to sing with that da 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 da
yeah,
da
and
da. I'm
yeah.
proud of the
Oh,
music, man.
it's the highest he's ever and they did that during Two Hands One Mouth. They did they did Under the Table with just piano and Russell. That was it.
Uh,
Piano and Russell. And it was amazing. And I walked. I was right up front in DC and right up front in Philly, and I knew when it was coming, so I was just right. So I was like, "This is what's on here," you know. And but they did it. He was doing it like kind of like he kind of did it a cappella. It was just piano. There was nothing else. Piano voice.
That's
You
great
know?
to work.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, everybody, thanks
So
a
that's
lot. We're
it.
45 minutes, and you could probably tell Dino and I have a great passion for this band. They're one of our favorites, and you know, regardless of the numbers, whatever we get, we both. I know I'll let Dino speak for himself, but I know we both urge you to try it. I've really never known anybody you've ever gotten into it that at one point didn't say, "Wow, thanks." It's
Yeah.
finally got me, and because there's just such a richness and such a musicality to it that
Yeah.
it penetrates you. It really does.
Well, I mean, it's like I told you early when we were doing the albums, and you guys really should tune into the album reviews because we go more in depth in the albums and lay those out. And I think you should listen to all of them sometime. It's pretty hard. I mean, it's a lot of material, but you should go through them, find some lists that are online. Here's Bob's top 25 songs or whatever, and just go through them because it's a rich tapestry of everything. It's hard rock, it's chamber, it's electro pop, it's everything, man. It's acoustic, it can be whatever. They've done so much in all these decades, and actually, if everything was equal in the world,
Oh
they
yeah,
would have sold 300 million albums, because Ron is one of the best modern songwriters, pop songwriters that's alive right now, and I don't think he ever gets his due. Of
right.
course, probably posthumously he will, but he
Yeah.
the wit and the sarcasm and the wordplay that he creates, it's amazing, and the stories that he creates are just you're just blown away.
It's just
So
a unique angle on art,
on
on
everything, yeah,
creating creating things, and I think that's a thread we have through most of the acts that we have on this channel. We
yeah,
feel certain ways they're underappreciated or underexposed,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
we just want to turn you on as we say.
Yeah, I mean, and like I told Tony about these guys in particular, I would turn people onto them in the late 70s, and if they didn't respond, I really didn't give a shit because
Yeah,
it was my band, as
you're
far, what's
our
that?
little right.
Yeah, it's like you keep it to yourself. Look, if you're not interested in one of the best songwriters in America in pop music, then I can't help you, you
Yeah,
know. I'll keep it to
yeah,
myself. Thank
yeah.
you.
Sorry you missed it, like type of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry you missed it. Your loss. Hopefully, maybe in 10 years you'll, you know, change that opinion.
yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, both
Well,
of them together.
hopefully you guys are into it. Let us know what you think about these. Let us know what you do. If you do some exploring, if you guys know what you like, as we said before in the album countdown many different times, leave your list. Please help us hit the like button and subscribe if you will. And anything in closing you wanna say, Dino?
Yeah, leave your top 20. Like Tony said, we'd love to see. I mean, there's so many songs out there in the canon. Leave your top 20 might not have any of these songs on it, which would be great. I'd love to see what your 20 looks like because it's very difficult to do 20 songs by this band.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely subscribe, pass it around, share it, whatever you'd like to do. Participate. Okay.
All right, y'all. And with that, we will see you all next time. Have a good rest of the weekend or rest of the week, and we'll be back at you with something new soon. Thanks.
See ya. Bye bye.